Hi. So in this video, I'm going to give you a bit of a primer on the firmware system of the IOLab. Okay, so just so we're talking the same language, the little thing that you plug into your computer, we're going to call a dongle. This other thing with the sensors in it is the remote. If you take it apart, which you can do easily, then you'll see this inside. Inside the remote, there is a large microprocessor that we call the sensor microprocessor, and it collects data from all the sensors on this device. It sends that data over to radio microprocessors that transmits it wirelessly over to the dongle, which then talks to your computer. You don't ever have to take the case off of these things. You can if you want to, but in fact, you can reprogram these things entirely over the air without doing anything special. That's what we're going to talk about. Okay, so there's 3 microprocessors in this system. There's 1 in the dongle and 2 on the remote. As of the time of this video, which is January 2019, you might have one of 2 different versions in the dongle and the remote, either version 1.00 or 1.03. These are almost the same. The differences are very small and make no difference to the user whatsoever. And you'll have probably version 1.10 inside the remote sensor microcontroller. This is the one that you might want to change. So that's the one we're going to talk about. All 3 of these microprocessors can be reprogrammed over the air, or wirelessly, in other words. And that's what the next video will show you. But first, let me just show you how you can tell what firmware revisions you have in your device right now. You might find it kind of interesting. So let me exit out of this thing. Let me bring up the application, which I have running. So I'm going to plug in the dongle into my computer. And when I do that, you see the dongle appear there. Then I'm going to turn on the device, just the same way you would do it. So now you're ready to do an experiment. But if you come over here to the IOLab and you say About IOLab, then in fact you get the information. You see that the firmware version in the dongle is 1.03, in other words 1.03. The RF firmware version, that is the radio in the remote, is 1.03 also, and the sensor micro firmware revision is 1.10. These are represented by hexadecimal numbers 0x103, 0x103, and 0x110. So those are the numbers that tell you what versions you have. And in the next video, I'll show you how to change those.